Jason, good afternoon.
Hey Andy, how are you?
Yeah, all right, thanks. It's a week's a long time in rugby. I just wanted to get your thoughts on just how things changed so dramatically from the brilliant performance against Saracens to what happened in Devon.
Yeah, it's a good question, and as I said after the game, like the difference in consistency in 8 days was obviously drastic, and hopefully we bounce back this week and show what we can do. But look, really disappointing. Also, we got back on track against Saris. Probably, our group really get up for that game. The key for us is, can we get up in a wet and windy fixture at Sandy Park? And look, we probably reflected back on it. We probably felt running into that breeze, which was a decent old breeze in the first half, to be 10-0 down after 30 minutes. We'll probably take that at halftime, you know what I mean? The back-to-back tries off aerial, we lost the crumbs on that, which was disappointing. But probably the one that hurt the most was that one to start the second half where we missed the kick-off completely. And as fate would have it, the wind basically stopped at half-time, so we didn't have the advantage of being able to kick easy territory. And we just found ourselves in a hole and chasing the game, which probably spun us out of control a little bit as well. So yeah, all up, really disappointing.
When you review something like that, and when it's a dramatic defeat, do you have to choose how hard to go in with the players? Because obviously I'm sure that they're hurting just as much as anyone.
Yeah, they are, and they're a really caring group. A lot of the boys have been at Quins for a long time, and same as staff, so it's not from a lack of effort or care or endeavour. Like, I'd never question that with our staff or our players with that. But it's the old adage, like, we didn't get super high after Saris just because we had a good win. We're not going to come in dragging our lip this week. We're certainly hurting, like we're stinging from it, and that will drive us and fuel us for our preparation this week. But if we're going to iron out the consistency of our footy team, what we can't surround the boys with is high emotion and then low emotion, and we kind of ride the wins and losses with it. That's not going to do the boys any good. So, yeah, we're bitterly disappointed. It's not a performance we're proud of, but what we can't do is we drop for 5 days and then our preparation's poor against Newcastle, because it's a big one at home in front of our fans.
And obviously you're going to be super motivated after that, but you know that Newcastle are desperate to get things running in the league for their new ownership, and so they're going to have loads of motivation. You can't afford to give them a look in.
No, there's no easy games in the league, is there? And then you roll into Europe as well. So not that we're looking to hide, but there's no place to hide in the Prem. Like, every game has its own unique challenges, whether it's playing away, conditions, or who you're playing. So, we're certainly not taking this week lightly. We know where Newcastle are at and what they're wanting to do.
And just finally from me, there's been a few of these games in the last 10, 12 months where, Quins have had nil, which is so rare. Is there anything that you look at to say, when it is starting to unravel, can we do anything differently to kind of manage the game to, just hang in there in the tough moments?
Yeah, the big one on that is just making sure we don't go out individual. And that's where I probably felt sorry for Smithy a bit. Like, everyone lauded him the week before, and he played well, but he had a forward pack that was winning its collisions. We're winning the aerial battle. We had great options in and around him, and then he simply fits in, and he's the icing on the cake with his skill set. That's what I said last week. That's what we pay him for. I felt on the weekend, individually he probably didn't have his greatest game. He'll be the first to admit that, but I felt we didn't win collision consistently enough to give him front foot ball either side of the ball. We certainly didn't win the aerial like we did the week before, and then all of a sudden we're expecting to pull a rabbit out of the hat when we're down a few tries, and that doesn't matter who you are, that's very difficult. So I think for him, the better we play as a football team, the better Marcus plays as well.
Thanks, Jason. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy.
Hey Jason, Will here. How's it going?
Good. Will, yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Just following on that one, do you find, now working closely with Marcus, that he gets frustrated with those sorts of games where he's trying all he can and nothing's working? And also, obviously, thinking about what's coming in the next month or so, you have the high of beating Saris and everyone, as you say, going, what a brilliant performance, and then he has a negative one and you think, where does that leave me with England and everything else? Like, it's all part of the mixture with him, I guess, is it?
Yeah, it is. And Marcus is a competitor. Like, he wants to win and not to play for England. I think that's a byproduct of it. Like, he wants Quins to do well. Like, it's his boyhood club. He's been here probably for close to a decade already, even though he's a young man. So first and foremost, he wants Quins to do well. And if we don't play well, he's going to be frustrated because he's our key driver, you know what I mean? Now, when you layer in the England stuff, and we probably had it with the British Lions selection last year, where I think that was definitely on his shoulders through Prem, and then as soon as he got selected, it was like the weight of the water lifted. I think he's maturing through that because, you know, you think Smithy's been around for a while. He's still only 26, 27. He's still quite a young man. So I think the England stuff, particularly in the media, will always be on that because there's so many great fly halves in England. That's always going to be a topic of conversation with Ford or Finn Smith, or is it Marcus Smith? But if we can do our stuff properly as a football team around Smithy, he can play better, more consistently, and then the spin-off of that will be the England selection. But what we can't do is just sit back and throw him the ball and expect him to win games by himself, because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, how do you help him not feel like he's the be-all and end-all as well? Like, it's not all on him. Like, whether he has a good game, Quins play well. If he has a bad game, they don't.
Yeah, I think it's more if we look at our process. So what's our attack shape, what's our defence shape, what's our set piece, and we have to have consistency across those three areas of the game. Now, if we're inconsistent with our attack, it's very difficult for a 10 to manoeuvre the football around the field, same in defence. So for us, it's not so much Marcus. I'm looking at how consistent and how rock solid are our systems on the football field, so then he can blend into it. Now, he's got to drive that, don't get me wrong. Like, he just kind of can't sit back and play off the back of it. He's got to be a central figure in what we do, but I think the more the other 22 boys put their hand up, it helps Marcus.
Yeah. Another guy I'd like to ask about is Chandler. How is he? It seemed like England was saying yesterday that his ankle's okay, like it's not as bad as perhaps thought, only a few days.
Yeah, we're getting the scans through today, so I think he got scanned this morning in England camp, so we'll be in contact with him. He also came off just before half time, so whether he plays, not sure. The fact that he walked off is probably a good sign, but I'll wait to hear what the scans say.
Yeah. What about his development too? Like, he's played a bit of lock for you. There seems to be an opening at number 8 for England now. He's played there last couple of weeks, hasn't he, for you? Where do you see his best, or does it not really matter? He can just want to get a good athlete on the field somewhere.
Yeah, I think he can play back 5, and he played the first 2 games there because we had injuries to our lock, so that's the reason why we put him in the second row. To me, his best spot's probably 6 or 8. You know, he can get his hands on the ball, he can get around and defensively impose himself without having the workload of a lock, but it's good that he can actually do it. But I've been really proud of how he's approached the year this year. He's been super consistent at training. He's been excellent off the field. I think he's in a really good place mentally, and he's playing week to week and he's playing 80 minutes. So I think his start to the year has probably been one of our better ones.
Is he out of contract in the summer? Is that right?
Correct.
So what's the situation there? It seems like players this year have a bit more, or other clubs can talk to him a bit earlier than usual. So are you having a struggle to keep him, or where's his head at on all of that from your perspective?
Yeah, look, we certainly want to keep him at the club. We see him as a long-term player for us, and we've got to demonstrate that to him, that we're a place that he wants to be at. Look, he's going to attract interest, isn't he? He's 6'5" back rower that's very dynamic and abrasive and aggressive. So when someone like that comes on the market, whether it's in England or overseas or whatever the case is, he's going to attract interest. So we know that it's not going to be straightforward, but we definitely want to keep him.
With that, not just with him maybe, but with everyone, do you almost need to prove it through the performance that these guys should stay around, i.e. don't do things like you did on Sunday?
Yeah,
because people go, I don't know, do I really want to stay here? Do you know what I mean?
100%. And I think the easy one is to look at the weekend. The bigger one for me is what does the Monday to Friday look like for Chandler? Is he comfortable? Is he getting challenged at training? Does he know he's improving? Does he know where the football team is headed? The wins and losses definitely count, don't get me wrong. But if you win on the weekend, but through the week he's not comfortable with the group that he's with, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. If he doesn't feel comfortable, it's not going to be a place for him. So I think it is the performance of the team, definitely. But how our weeks are actually structured around to make him the best player he can be and the best young man is critical as well.
Are you confident that he will stick around? How deep are you in negotiations with all that?
I won't go. Obviously, I won't go into the ins and outs of where we're at and that type of thing. That's above my head. But he's certainly happy. Now he's going to attract big interest. He's going to attract big money as well. So I'm not naive to sit here and go, yeah, he's loving the place and he's going to sign tomorrow, because he's well within his right to test the market and see what he is. I'd imagine most players would be doing that. So are we confident? I like to think that we've got the environment for him that he's enjoying at the moment, definitely.
Cool. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Will.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
How's Alex Dombrand?
He will be out. He'll be out for 3 weeks. So this is his second week, obviously. So we'll look to get him back in that middle of the autumn block, and then we've got a friendly against Scarlets that we'll look to get him back into, depending if he gets called back into England.
All right, yeah. What did he do? His knee, was it? Or
He did slight hammy.
slight hammy?
Yeah.
Because he came off in the match and then came off the bench the following week. So did he aggravate it or?
No, that was another one. So he got pretty banged up against Leicester. He actually got hit on the knee, and then he was carrying a little bit of a shoulder as well from the previous week. So he's pretty sore at the moment. So it's probably a good time just to sit him back, get his body right, so we can rip into the second block.
It's bad timing for him, isn't it, with Tom Willis out of the picture?
Yeah, it is, and you know, he's aware of that. He's a very proud Englishman. He loves representing England, so he'll be disappointed. But I think if we can get his body right and have a really good block too, I think we can put him into good contention for Six Nations.
Yeah, and when we were talking last week about the importance of following up Saracens.
Yep.
I mean, last year you beat them twice and you lost the following game, but they were both against Bath.
Yep.
So I said won by 2 points. So I guess there was, but I suppose losing, actually given where they were last year, must be disappointing. I mean, do you have like a sort of psychologist on board or anyone like that?
Yeah.
Just to get in the heads of players? Because
Definitely. Yeah, we do. We've got one here that works on that, and also with our senior leadership group, because they're quite young. So we've got a little development program that we're putting together for them. It's probably a wider thing too, Paul. Like obviously Quins is a pretty emotional club, so we kind of ride the highs and lows of it. I think as we're developing and getting maturity to be able to play week to week, I think the other one is potentially selection as well, Paul, because even my experience last year when we come off big game, when it's such a big event, emotionally it's very draining, and the next week you can kind of drop down a little bit emotionally with it. So what we're looking at is when we play those big games is, do we have 3 or 4 changes up our sleeve the following week that the boys come in fresh, they've got a really good mindset, they haven't been affected from the previous week, and we can keep the ship moving forward. So there's probably a couple of things there that we're looking at the moment as we build that consistency.
yeah, did you have any sense before the game that might happen, or was it when the game started that you thought, oh crikey?
No, well, it was interesting. I had a good chat with our game leaders this morning, and I probably agree with them actually in reflection. Massive wind in the first half to the back of Exeter, so losing that toss was a big call when it was going to drop off after an hour. We probably knew it was a 2-try breeze, and I think it was only roughly 8-0 or 10-0 after about 28 minutes. We probably would have taken that, to be fair, running into that breeze. The 2 tries back-to-back when we dropped the aerial contest hurt us. And then coming back out in the second half, we were still really confident. The boys were good. They weren't panicking, but we stayed in the fight reasonably well in the first half. But obviously running out, and then there's literally not a breath of air. So then we couldn't get the territorial ease that Exeter could in the first half. I thought they kicked really well. But then missing the kick-off completely and them scoring, that was the killer for us, probably more so, because that almost put the game then beyond doubt. And then we're starting to chase it, and we're running out of time, and then it kind of unravels.
Yeah. So it makes this week doubly important, doesn't it? Get back in there. Because I mean, Newcastle, you look at it on paper, you think, well, that's not just a home win, but 5 points. But in fairness to them, they do dog it out, don't they? Especially sort of defending their own line. They don't give it up easily.
No, they're tough Northerners, aren't they? And they've recruited well. Murphy the 8. I coached against him in Australia when he was at the Rebels. Like he's leading their attack stats at the moment. So he's one that we know that we've got to stop. Williams on the wing is a seasoned campaigner for Wales. You've got Kotze, the South African, that he's an aerial threat. Argentinian halfback that's come in. They've got Fergus Lee Warner, so they've definitely they've definitely recruited in there. So we're under no illusions, Paul.
Yeah, and last from me, Jason, just something slightly off topic. A lot of attention on Noah Kalawari after his 5 try exploits and an aerial thing last week. Just to, he's been called in the England camp as what Eddie Jones called an apprentice, just to have a look at the environment.
Yeah.
I mean, is it these days, especially given the academy system, the way players are prepared, is it a case that you can push them to it? I just think of Suali a year ago. He made his first rugby union professional appearance in an international against England and didn't do badly.
Yeah, look, the one thing with the young bloke, watching him last week, he scored 5, but he also got a penalty try for them, out leaping their fullback. So he actually contributed 6 tries to the game. He's a freak. Like you look at the height and how he can hang in the air, but then he also scores a try for line-out starter play where he breaks through the front line. So he's a special talent. I love the fact that England have got him in. I think what you've got to be careful is then when do you play him? Because I think if you throw him out to the Wolves at international level too early, that could be his issue. But I love the fact that Steve's brought him in and giving him a taste and that type of thing, because you can just see talent, and that kid, he's going to be a very good footballer for a long time.
Yeah, because I mean, last year Henry Pollock hadn't played many Prem games for Northampton, came on as a sub for England, goes on the line. So if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah, that's right. And it's probably similar. It reminds me of Mark Nwanga-Ninawase, who we had in the Junior Wallabies and at the Waratahs. And, Marky's aerial ability, that's what Noah reminded me of straight away. Like they can almost stay in the air. So they're great athletes.
Yeah, and he doesn't sort of go straight out, does he? He covers a huge range.
Yeah, well, he's also got a big arm span and he's a tall lad as well, so it's just not his leap, but he's actually got good height and good aerial ability with his arms, obviously.
Yeah, and a good basketball player he was as a kid, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, the bloke you just mentioned, I won't try and his surname. Is he likely to come back for the Wallabies? I read some of it.
Yeah. So
could be coming back.
I think he's told his rugby league club, the Roosters, that he won't re-sign and that he will come back into rugby. So he's actually making his debut for the Australian rugby league team this weekend. Where he goes, I'm not sure if he'll play domestically in Australia or if he'll end up in France or England, but he'll play for the Wallabies. It'll just be provincially where he plays, I'd say.
Good news for the World Cup.
Definitely.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jason.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.